Welcome. Today we're going to just do one simple little concept. It talks about parallel lines and a transversal. So let me emphasize what we mean by that. If we have two lines that are parallel and we have another line that cuts across them, the line that cuts across we call a transversal. So this line here would be a transversal with respect to these two parallel lines. Likewise, over here, we have two lines that are parallel, and we have this third line that cuts across them that is parallel. That is considered a transversal, sorry. The one that cuts across is the transversal, and the two others are parallel lines. Here we have two parallel lines, and then the one that cuts across them is a transversal. What's really cool about that, as long as these lines are parallel, they have to be parallel, that is, we actually only have two angle measures in this complete figure. What I mean by that is, if I was to say this angle right here, actually I'm just going to use a pen here. If I was to say this angle here is 30 degrees, really wanted that one to be in black, but then I know all the other 7 angles. This one across from it's called a vertical angle. It's also 30 degrees. These two are supplementary to those. So this plus this would have to be 180. So this would be 150. And this would be 150. And again, if these two lines, if this line here is parallel to this line here, these 4 angles are the exact same measure. In other words, this one would be 30. This one would be 150. This one would be 150. And this one would be 30. And so if you look at the pattern, it just kind of zigzags down 30, 150, 150, 30, 30, 150, 150, 30. And so if I come over here to these two blue parallel lines over here, and this one, let's say this angle right here happened to be 80, then I could know all the other 7 angles. The one next to it, supplementary, so it would have to be 100 because the two together add up to 180. The one vertical from it would have to also be 80 because it's actually also supplementary to this one. This one across or vertical from the 100 is 100. Or we could think of these two as adding up to 180. So 180 minus 80 is 100. And then these 4, as long as this line here is parallel to this line, have the exact same measures. 100, 80, 100, and 80. So it's a very, very, very simple concept. Again, one last time, just as a reiteration, if I have these two parallel lines and this red line that cuts across it, that's a transversal. If I was to say this was 45 degrees right here, I would know all the other 7 angles because the one next to it being supplementary would have to be 135, and then you just fill in all the other values. Next to that one would have to be 45 again because the two next to each other have to add to 180. This one would be 135. And then again, I always reiterate, as long as this line here is parallel to this line, these 4 angles are going to be the same. So in the exact same position, 45, 135, 45, and 135. And so your homework for today is in iExcel, in your 8th grade tab, I'm just going to assign number 17, transversals of parallel lines, find the missing angles. So if you go into this, you're going to find out it's very, very simple concept. Again, it's going to say the 2 lines are parallel. It's going to give you the measure of one of the angles, the measure of angle RQT. So let's find RQT. RQT, that's this angle right here. I'm just going to come here and mark it. This angle here is 115. And since this one's 115, I know all the other 7 angle measures. So when it asks me to find the measure of RQO, I find that angle. Let's see, where's RQO? RQO, well, that's the one next to it. So that's supplementary to it. So I take 180 minus 115 and get 65. And what I do then is I type in 65 and I hit submit and I get the correct answer. And that's all these are. Is you even go up into higher, more difficult ones, even all the way up to 81. It's the exact same thing, just it might give you a decimal. It's going to say the measure of HIG. So I come up here and go HIG. That's this angle. Whoops, I wanted a pen there. There we go. Is 49.8. And then what I can do is just work my way through. I take 180 and minus that 49.8, and I get 130.2. So this angle in here is 130.2. And then I can just zigzag all the way through. So now when they ask me for JIG, I find JIG, what happens to be supplementary, but it could have been this angle over here, or this angle, but no matter which one they ask for, you can figure out what it is, because you can just use those two angles and just work your way through. So obviously, again, this one would be supplementary if it's JIG, supplementary to the 49. So it is the 130.2. If you have any questions, please visit me at my Zoom hours, and I will definitely help you.